How long before the rebirth engine is operational? These stupid magical boys, magical girls, and magical non-binary persons are more powerful than I thought.
Columbia strode into Mojita's special laboratory, the one isolated from the rest of the other arcane science facilities. It was large enough to house the massive artifact that rested in the middle of the room, as well as the other monitoring computers, energy sources, and power regulators. 3 large square magical condensing chambers were at the back of the artifact, and each one had slender tops with pulsating orbs. Volts of raw eldritch power zapped between the trio of orbs. Tubes ran from each of the chambers into a slender coffin-shaped piece, with a place for someone to lay down in and a top to close over them. The entire artifact had a connected computer terminal in the shape of a pumpkin-sized crystal ball, with an interface shown on the front of it. Most notable was the crystal 20-pointed star that floated between the trio of orbs, right above the collected condensing chambers. That was the key to the rebirth engine, the means of pulling one soul out and pushing one soul in. Mojita stood in front of the crystal ball interface.
It doesn't help that we're also repelling an invasion from the Oberon Corporation Nymphians. I should have known Elvinia would have found a way out of that trap, and that she'd find her way here. I told you that she was extremely cunning and resourceful.
Yes, you warned me to be more careful, and I decided to proceed anyway. This is all my fault, yes, but soon it will all be corrected. Are you able to ensure its activation?
Yes, I'm finalizing the activation now. If this works, I'll be able to resurrect my sister. Thank you. You gave me the funding and the freedom to get here, and I would never have been able to realize this without you.
Of course, I can understand the overwhelming desire to reunite with your family, your loved ones. When placed in positions like that, you're willing to do anything. You're willing to go to any lengths of evil to make things right. I'm glad you were able to figure it out. Explain to me again how it works.
Mojita kept her eyes on the screen, and she was going about the final processes for activating the artifact. She was so focused, which was perfect.
Well, you will lay in the transmogrification chamber there, and then we'll close the lid. I'll activate the artifact with this button here, and then the transmogrification chamber will be bombarded with enchanted nanoparticles that will seep into your skin. Your soul will be detached from the physical shell and extracted from the transmogrification chamber, and then be uploaded into the reality prism drive there.
Mojita gestured to the 20-pointed star.
Not trying to be condescending, but I'm not sure you'd understand how the reality prism drive works, as it's super complex. I made it, and even I have a hard time wrapping my head around what I discovered half the time. Essentially, it will consume your soul energy, transform it into powerful cosmic particles, and then it will reconstitute a new soul. Or rather, an old soul. The reality prism drive will extract said soul from time-space and then upload it into your body like a software update. Once the new soul is inside the body, the physical body will be further transmogrified to meet the image of the previous soul's body.
Columbia nodded and then shifted behind Mojita. She held her hand behind her back, and then she formed a metal club with her magic. Her eyes narrowed, and she smiled, if for nothing else but to conceal her intention.
Ah, so hit that button there on the screen. The big red one?
Yes, the big red button.
Wow, that is fascinating. A body goes in, the button is pressed, a new body comes out. I swear, arcane science is magnificent.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like how you're saying a body goes in.
Mojita stopped typing, and she let her arms fall to her side.
Please don't. I just want to see my sister again. That's all I want.
Oh, but you will.
With chilling swiftness, Columbia struck the back of Mojita's head. It wasn't hard enough to kill her, but strong enough to stun her. The Arcanist collapsed to the ground.
No, please! No! No!
Columbia grabbed her by the back of the neck and then tossed her into the transmogrification chamber.
No! Please!
Columbia slammed the top closed on the chamber and then locked it in place. From inside the chamber, Mojita wailed.
No! No! Please! I have to resurrect my sister! No! Don't do this! It's not fair!
Columbia strolled over to the terminal, gave the chamber her full attention, and then she smiled widely. She pressed the red button.
Thank you for your service. My mother and I deeply appreciate you.
The reality prism drive glowed brightly, and then Mojita screamed again, this time in absolute anguish.
Thank goodness! You found her.
Linnet, Elvinia, Olilee, and Karina entered the teleportation chamber to find Alfreda, Nixie, and Duinya together.
Yes. We managed to save her from whatever they had planned for her.
It wasn't good, that's for sure. My old, associate developed a crazy artifact that is designed to bring someone back from the dead.
Both Nixie's and Alfreda's eyes opened a little wider.
That's what Zarita hinted at. Tell me it's not who I think it is.
Suddenly, Duinya started shaking her mama's hand with urgency.
Mama! That mean lady in red glasses told me she was going to use me to bring back someone. Did you and Mom really kill the evil boss lady's mother?
A foul and icy tendril began dancing up Linnet's back, but she resisted the urge to shake it out. She caught the weighted gaze of the others. Both Nixie and Alfreda frowned as they peered down at their beloved daughter. Alfreda opened her mouth to respond.
Of course they didn't. Your mom and mama would never hurt anyone, unless they absolutely had to.
Linnet bent down and gave the little child a small frown.
You see, love, I am the one who killed that bad lady's mother. I wish I didn't have to, but she was going to kill a lot of people, including your mom and mama.
She was?
Yes, that bad lady's mother was an even worse person.
Elvinia wrapped her arm around Linnet's shoulder and sort of leaned on her. The additional body heat felt nice.
One of the worst people ever.
Linnet stood up, but slowly, and she kept Elvinia's arm around her.
Both your mom and your mama have worked so hard to keep the city safe. And if this bad lady is trying to bring her mother back, we have to stop her.
Linnet peeked over at Elvinia, who gave her a small nod. Alfreda stepped away from Duinya for a moment, and she grabbed Nixie by both of her shoulders.
I already know what you're going to say. The answer is no. We both can't go fight Columbia and whatever she brings back to this world. And you're the best one to watch Duinya. One of us has to stay behind, and one of us has to go. If Columbia really does bring back Merica, we have to stop her here.
I know you're right, but I hate it.
You're gonna have to fight, aren't you, Mama?
Alfreda bent down and she hugged Duinya tightly.
Yes, darling. In order to protect our home, our city, and you and your mom, I have to fight.
Duinya gazed up to Linnet.
Auntie Linnet, Auntie Elvinia, will you please make sure my mama comes back?
Of course, little one. You can count on us.
We promise, Squirt.
When Alfreda stood back up, she moved in to hug Nixie. Nixie instead kissed her, her arms wrapped around Alfreda's body, and soon Alfreda held her close too. When they parted, Nixie placed her forehead against Alfreda's.
You had better come back to us.
I promise.
Sorry to break this up, boss, but I have an idea.
All eyes fell to Olilee, who was standing off to the side with Karina.
Yes, what is your idea?
Well, I don't want to jinx us all, but one important rule of working in arcane science is to come up with a backup plan in case something goes, unexpectedly.
It's true. It is a rule.
So Karina and I have been working on a special project, an equalizer, in case things ever got bad, and we ever got into their base.
Olilee gestured around them.
And, well, here we are.
Wait, are you talking about the neutron AMP bomb? It's not been field tested yet.
Well, we're in the field now, right?
Wait, you're not talking about the non-magnetic pulse weapon proposal idea you submitted, are you? Oh, wow, and I thought I was crazy.
Wait, you made an Anam pulse weapon?
Yes, we designed a special neutron non-magnetic pulse bomb. For short, it's AMP, by the way.
Well, actually, I read the proposal that Olilee submitted to you, Miss Elvinia, and we actually made some modifications to the design.
Oh, like what? I'm super curious.
Well, we increased the explosive charge by about 25 times and added in a non-lethal component. Rather than kill living beings, it instead focuses on destroying Nymphian technologies and artifacts. In essence, this is
A Citadel killer.
Yes, pretty much.
You have this with you?
In response, Olilee pulled something out of her infinity bag. It was a large egg-shaped artifact made from milky white crystal, but it was jagged at the top and was sanded down to be flat at the base. A golden ring hovered around the center of the gem, with a square techno interface on the front of it. Elvinia gasped and then stepped closer to it.
Oh, I love the color scheme. It's very uplifting. Right before it blows you into absolute and near permanent isolation. If this destroys and nullifies all Nymphian artifacts, we could set this off and trap them here forever, as a contingency plan.
Yes, we set it for remote detonation or timed detonation.
For a brief moment, Alfreda frowned and then gestured to Olilee and Karina.
Okay, I want you two to stay here and secure the portal. Olilee, you have the wand with you, and so you can ensure we have an escape route. Also, set up the neutron amp bomb so we can detonate when we leave. Or if we fail.
Nixie let out a slight grumble and averted her eyes.
Linnet, Elvinia, could Nixie and Duinya please stay at your house until all this is over?
Sure, we have plenty of space. They can be around others, and our house has defenses in case that's needed.
We also have pizza rolls and fruit punch in the fridge. Feel free to delve in if you get hungry.
Yay! I love pizza rolls!
Thank you. That means I can use all my soldiers for assaulting what's left of the enemy forces. Darling, take Duinya and go through the portal. Olilee and Karina, we will be in touch to let you know what to do. Linnet, Elvinia, are you ready?
Yes, I believe we are.
There you are. Oh my gosh!
Linnet ran ahead of the small army that was behind her. 40 clay soldiers marched in behind Alfreda, and Elvinia was just a single step ahead of Alfreda. Zeus lay at the base of the wall, and there were 3 leaves on their forehead. A nasty wound that was no longer bleeding, but still gross, was carved into their shoulder. Hades leaned up against the wall, but even still, he was babying one of his legs. Poseidon had deep cuts etched into his body all over. One of the newer guardians, Persephone, was sitting against the other wall, with her head leaning against her arms and her knees up. Demeter kneeled beside her and was rubbing her back. The others appeared to be okay, though. Broken bodies of the enemy Nymphians laid in various places, obviously dead. Demeter rose to a stand and approached Linnet and the others.
Hey, it's great to see you. We had a tough fight, but we won. Columbia went off somewhere to get a surprise for us, and she got away. Did you rescue your daughter?
Yes, we did. And that surprise is quite awful. If Elvinia is right, then she's going to bring back an old acquaintance of ours.
An old acquaintance?
You better not say who I think you're gonna say.
I'm sorry, but it is her.
Wait. You're not talking about Merica, are you? Merica kicked our asses last time.
This wouldn't be a real reunion without her. I'll do my best.
Zeus tried to ease themselves up, but they struggled a little. Linnet and Elvinia moved to help them up.
Okay, everyone, gather round. I'll heal you with Nymphian magic.
Is it going to hurt?
Not really. There might be brief tension, but the magic will be soothing, like dipping your soul in mint.
Linnet began to sing, and magical green notes filled the air like fireflies on a summer night. At first, they just hovered there, enjoying the prospect of existing. The notes started to sail on the air like falling leaves, and they plunged into the wounds of those who were hurt. When they collided with them, they splashed into liquid and covered the wounds completely. Slowly, the wounds began closing up, and perhaps in conjunction with the healing power that Demeter gave them, the effects were much stronger. The notes that plopped into Persephone splashed into the sides of her head and her temples, and in her chest over her heart. Immediately, Persephone's shoulders relaxed, and she let out a sigh of relief. Linnet stopped singing, and then gazed all around at the others.
You have a beautiful voice. I had all this despair in me before, and you washed it away.
Yes! Since our last encounter with you-know-who, I decided to take small steps to enhance the power and quality of the songs I knew. The new version of the Hymn of Healing affects mental and emotional health, too.
The sound of someone slow clapping broke the silence, and Linnet, as well as everyone else, turned to look. A pair of two Nymphians stood at the top of the stairs, one of which caused violent shivers to creep up and down Linnet's spine. Columbia beamed a wicked smile toward them, with her hands on her hips and a dangerous glimmer in her eyes. She was actually not wearing her blazer jacket, and the first 3 buttons were undone along her long-sleeve shirt. The other Nymphian was someone ripped from the past, with dark red hair, piercing blue eyes, and milky white skin. Her clothes were tattered, resembling something else she had seen recently, and then Linnet realized where she had seen that outfit.
I'm so glad you got stronger over the last 5 years. It would be a shame if you all didn't put a challenge on our fated reunion.
Elvinia stepped forward a little more, and her voice wavered.
Those clothes. What did you do to Majida?
Why do you ask questions you already know the answers to?
Linnet moved up and placed a hand on the middle of Elvinia's back, and her best friend leaned a little against it. Alfreda moved up past both of them, and in front of the Sparkle Guardians. Seconds later, her army did as well. Merica started walking down the stairs, and a sliver of liquid metal slithered from her palm, forming a slender rapier.
So you're still fraternizing with magical boys and magical girls? Oh, my apologies. As well as magical non-binary persons. It's so pathetic. And you call yourselves Nymphians.
It's not pathetic. We don't have to be the villains of worlds anymore. We've shown that for the last 5 years. Nymphians can coexist, not conquer and destroy.
Merica rounded one side of the fountain, while Columbia approached from the other side. As Columbia came back into view, she had a pair of sick-looking war axes.
Where is the fun with coexisting? You forget yourself, Alfreda. You forget where our people came from. It doesn't matter, because we're going to kill you all. Magical person and Nymphian alike. Are you ready, my darling youngest?
Wait, she's your youngest? You had more than one kid?
Ah, Linnet, I will take great joy in killing you. After all, an eye for an eye, right?
A pair of portals opened up on the floor, and a second later, 2 gigantic iron golems leapt up from them.
Bella, Bertha, Columbia, kill them!
Forward, my soldiers! Let this be our final battle.
The 40 clay soldiers brandished their weapons, and they charged. Archers blasted magical regenerating arrows. Those who were mounted swung their spears and lances, and those who were on foot rushed to meet their doom. Poseidon, Hades, Persephone, and Hestia formed a secondary line, and Zeus and Demeter stood behind them. Boreas and Iris flew above them. Linnet, Elvinia, and Alfreda stood beside Demeter.
I'll start the Song of Heroines.
I'll help with range support.
And I'll work on getting reinforcements.
We'll buy you all the time we can.
From somewhere, Merica laughed wildly, and the combat began. The iron golems started to step through the crowd of clay warriors. But unlike 5 years ago, these statues were made from denser material. They barreled into the legs and brought them down. Likewise, both enemy Nymphians clashed against hardier foes. Alfreda started pulling out more statuettes from her infinity bag and placing them in formation. Elvinia had retrieved a long staff with a golden orb as its headpiece from her bag, and she activated her Kevlar armor, which outlined her body in a thin, opaque energy shield. Linnet activated her own shield. Her notes crested on the air. Hestia and Zeus kept throwing and shooting lightning bolts and fireballs at the golems respectively when they rose above the heights of the soldiers. Despite the soldiers' stronger and more resilient nature, their weapons still did nothing to the golems. The sound of breaking stone and clay echoed throughout, even though the enemy was unseen.
Maybe the soldiers will beat them?
No, not likely. No offense to your clay soldiers, Alfreda, but against her, they are simply buying us time.
None taken.
Linnet finished her song, and tendrils of light zipped about, touching each of the others. They all glowed brightly momentarily.
Should I try a debilitating song?
No, I want you to keep away from them, but be prepared to sing your hymn of healing to keep people alive.
Wait.
I have a better plan.
You do?
Watch the battle closely, and we'll keep Merica and Columbia off of you. I want you to start singing your most powerful song.
My most powerful?
You're not talking about that one she did on us, are you?
I am indeed.
Oh, wow. That song sucked.
That song has a long wind-up.
Then start now. I'll raise guards to be your last line of defense. Everyone, keep them back as long as you can.
Merica stepped from the mass of clay soldiers, a wicked sneer on her face.
Oh, no, you don't. No more singing for you. I'm going to rip out your vocal cords with my bare hands.
Poseidon stepped forward and jabbed his trident at her. With ease, Merica slipped to the side, and then brought up her rapier to deflect Persephone's scythe away. Merica cackled as she hopped back away from the pair of melee guardians. Many of the soldiers were broken, but those who still remained clustered around both of the golem's feet and Columbia. Columbia twirled about and hacked with her pair of axes. Whereas Merica was maddeningly psychotic, Columbia was much more refined and serious. One of the metal golems stepped closer to the group, its cold eyes staring at Linnet. Elvinia pointed her golden staff at the golem. The gem portion glowed brightly, and suddenly a laser beam zipped out of the front of it. When the beam hit the golem, a slight wrinkle ran across its skin, and then it fell upward into the sky, striking the ceiling. The other golems slapped Iris out of the sky, and the new Sparkle Guardian struck the wall quite hard.
Basta! Take this!
Boreas drove both of his hands forward, and sent a powerful tornado at the iron golem. Ice coated its skin, and while the wind was strong, the golem was not pushed back. Demeter slammed her staff against the ground, and vines shot up. They wrapped around the golem, keeping it in place for now. Merica rushed forward, and she parried and deflected. Rather than attack herself, Merica merely watched Poseidon and Persephone. Columbia broke the last of the clay soldiers and started moving toward the group.
Cerberus Punch!
The ghostly outline of the Dotson appeared, and it rushed toward a surprised Columbia. The force of the magic punch struck her in the chest. Columbia slammed into the brick wall, and cracks formed up and down the point of impact. She fell to the ground, and then she got back up. Columbia stumbled a step for a moment, groaned in pain, and then sprinted over to Hades. He punched at her, but the smaller, more nimble Nymphian somersaulted over him. When she was over his back, Columbia struck out with both of her axes. Each one bit into his shoulders quite deeply. She let go of her axes and landed behind him. As Hades fell to his knees, the axe melted into liquid metal and slithered down the back of his body, across the floor, and right back into Columbia's hands.
That punch really hurt.
She raised her axes high. A fireball struck her, exploded, and then sent her bouncing away. Hestia chased after her with his shield poised.
Now rise, my soldiers!
Her hands glowed brightly, and then there was a flash. A moment later, 10 more soldiers came alive. Alfreda pointed toward Columbia.
Go get her!
As one, the soldiers ran toward Columbia, right until the metal golem fell from above, crushing them all into dust.
Oh shit, I forgot to mention. This staff has a very short duration.
Oh shit is right.
Slowly, the metal golem pushed itself up and looked right at Linnet. Elvinia leveled the staff towards it again, and as the end of it glowed, an axe spun through the air and nailed Elvinia in the shoulder. She collapsed on the ground and dropped the staff. For but a moment, Linnet inhaled and then stopped for only half a second.
No, don't stop. If you do, we're all dead.
Columbia summoned another axe and then started swinging at Hestia, who could only block with his shield. Hades was on the ground, face down and not moving. The metal golem stood up and took a defiant step toward Linnet, its eyes 2 hollow chasms of darkness.
Oh, no you don't. Demeter's wrath!
Demeter's whole body glowed with a vibrant green aura. When she struck the ground with the end of her staff, a massive pulse warbled on the floor where her staff impacted. Hundreds of vines burst up from the ground and tangled both the freed and the already restricted golem in even more thick plants. They all wrapped around and squeezed, and the sound of protesting iron groaned out. The vines tried to snag Columbia and Merica, but they sliced and cleaved those that got too close.
That buys you some time. Make use of it.
Demeter ran toward where Hestia and Columbia battled, while Boreas started blasting tornadoes at Merica. Despite it being 3-on-1, Merica merely smirked. She dodged, dipped, and watched.
Ha! I figured it out. Time to end this.
Merica slid to the side of one of Poseidon's thrusts, and then slid closer, approaching on the outside of his trident arm. Her rapier was lightning quick, and it pierced his stomach and retracted before he could react. He screamed out, and he tried to bring his weapon back around. Persephone followed up for a brief moment, and took the lead in assaulting her. However, a cunning and creepy smile had formed on Merica's face. She slanted inward and blocked Persephone's shaft with her blade. They were within 1 foot of one another, and both Merica and Linnet saw the alarm in the young Sparkle Guardian's eyes. Together, as if in a dance, they spun in a circle, and neither could strike one another effectively. Persephone lunged back as hard as she could, and she swung her scythe. But Merica raised her rapier swiftly and pierced Persephone's exposed arm on the underside, 2 inches from the armpit. The young Sparkle Guardian screamed and dropped her scythe. Rather than continue, Merica pivoted, leapt, and rolled away toward Linnet. As soon as she got to her feet, Merica sprinted faster than Linnet would have liked. Linnet was so close to finishing the song, and yet seconds were miles in distance. Merica's rapier was poised, and she sprinted forward. Elvinia slammed into Merica, knocking her to the side. As they collided on the ground, Alfreda jumped on her and grabbed Merica by the hair. She yanked back as hard as she could, which caused the dreaded evil Nymphian to yell out. Elvinia grabbed the arm that held the rapier and placed her weight on it. Hestia screamed out and dropped the shield. His arm was cleaved open. Demeter swung her staff wildly, but Columbia was simply biding her time. However, Iris swooped in and swung from above. His attempts were wobbly, as he was still probably out of it.
Hurry!
Grim spasms shot up and down Linnet's spine as the golems started to break free of the vines. But then, Linnet finished the song. A chromatic ring of energy expanded from Linnet's form, and it soared forth with incredible speed. For a brief moment, both Columbia's and Merica's bodies glowed, and then their eyes started to shimmer.
Let go of her quick! Before you release her!
Instantly, Elvinia and Alfreda let go of Merica and crawled back from her. A brief moment passed, and then Columbia and Merica started screaming. Linnet ran over to Hades, who was only barely conscious.
We have to get out of here now! The duration is still short. If they recover, we will all die!
But what about them? We can't let them get away!
There is a backup plan. No time to explain, we have to go. Grab those who can't run by themselves and flee. Let's go!
The spiraling dizziness finally stopped, and Columbia's vision returned to her. Her mother, Merica, stood over her.
What happened?
It was that damned songstress. She unleashed in us some kind of super song. They can't have gotten far. Let's go after...
A loud explosion rippled out from somewhere. Within seconds, a massive arc of energy rippled out through the walls. It extended past both of them before it barreled into the far walls and then disappeared. The air tingled with a strange and barely noticeable spark of energy. All of the lights were out, but the emergency lights flickered on.
What was that?
Nothing good. Let's head to the teleportation chamber.
Merica offered a hand and assisted Columbia to a stand. Together, they ran through the corridors. The emergency lights were on, but everything else was off. That was a bad sign for sure. Unlike most of the Citadel technology, the emergency lights and backup life support systems ran on electric generators. When they got to the teleportation chamber, they noticed the staff from Anam Refining were there as well, and there was a consistent sense of apprehension among all of them.
Ma'am, the enemy set off some kind of bomb. It destroyed the teleportation pads. Or something. We can't leave.
Columbia reached into her pocket and she pulled out one of the artifacts she had on hand. It wasn't a powerful artifact, just one that cast light upon command. Columbia fed magic into it, and yet nothing happened. She stared harder at the artifact, but still it was little more than a gem in a metal paperweight.
Let me guess. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. I'm going to bet none of our tech is going to work. Anything that energy touched is dead. Anything relying on Anam energy, anyway.
Dead? Are we stuck here?
Stop freaking out and calm down.
Who are you? I've never seen you before.
This is my mother, and for all intents and purposes, she's the new boss. She's right, we're not stuck here. We have one contingency. Mojita was brilliant, and she had created something for this occasion. While my mother and I go fetch it, you gather any remaining survivors.
Columbia motioned for Merica to follow her, and so her mother did. They walked the dark hallways of the Citadel.
I'm sorry we failed, Mother. I should have been better prepared to go up against the Oberon Corps Nymphians.
Did you fail? I'm resurrected. And so I consider that a success. Those other Nymphians use cowardly tactics to render us isolated. However, if you have a backup plan, then things will be all right. I am proud of you, daughter.
Thank you, Mother.
Columbia and Merica moved into Columbia's office, and she went for her bottom drawer in her desk. She sat down in her chair, opened the drawer, and pulled out a fairly big, heavy case. The case was made from metal and had runes etched on the front of it. Merica grazed her fingers on the case.
Oh, what's in the case?
Columbia opened the case. Most of the interior was filled with thick, dark gray foam. In the center of the case and the foam sat a glowing golden orb.
Oh, it still works.
Mojita trusted me with this. She was a brilliant researcher, and her sacrifice to bring you back will never be forgotten. She was worried about the highly unlikely chance of some kind of Anam magnetic pulse attack, possibly devastating all of our technology. I didn't believe such a thing could be possible. She did, however.
Well, it's good for us, she did. What does this artifact do?
The case was designed to protect against all outside energy sources or detection. This orb is a one-time use artifact that will open a portal to anywhere in the known multiverse. We can use it to escape.
How wonderful!
Mother, are we going to seek revenge against the Oberon Core Nymphians?
Honestly, I'd rather not. While I would not call this a defeat because they ran away and used a pathetic attempt to stop us from destroying them, perhaps trying for a third time would be tempting the hand of fate too much.
Oh, I suppose that's reasonable. So, where do you want to go?
Merica rounded the corner of the desk and stood over Columbia, a smile on her face.
Let's go somewhere else and grow our own company. What do you say, darling daughter? We could gather up your sisters and then shake Nymphia to its core.
That sounds great to me. The whole reason I came to this stupid dimension was to resurrect you, and also seek revenge for you.
Merica grabbed the orb in her hands and inspected it for a moment.
Tell me, daughter, must we really save the others? The ones who did nothing to help keep your citadel safe?
For a long moment, Columbia just looked up at her mother.
It's such a shame that everyone else died and that we are the only survivors.
Yes, such a shame.
Merica held up the orb, and suddenly, a magical golden portal appeared against the wall. Together, Columbia and Merica walked through it. The portal closed behind them, and Linnet let out a sigh of relief. She immediately started to sing. Magical green notes of energy floated on the air, and then they swarmed those who were injured. Within minutes, the wounds had been washed away, and a collective sense of relief washed over everyone. Nixie held Alfreda close to her.
Is it really over? Are they gone forever?
The neutron AMP bomb will go off in 1 minute 45 seconds. As soon as it does, all of the Nymphian technology on that citadel will be dead forever.
I can't believe it. We did it. We beat them.
Hell yeah, we did! And with that, I think I'm finally ready to hang up my sparkles for good.
Right. We're getting a little too old to have epic final boss fights anymore.
Nicholas stood up and pointed to the newest members of the Sparkle Guardians.
It's going to be up to you all from now on. Get stronger, stay ready, because should evil ever return, this city is going to count on you.
For just a moment, Raquel, Paul, Junwoo, and Faheem glanced toward one another. Together, they grinned.
So long as we have our fearless leader, we'll be fine.
Oh yes, I will be here to support you. However, I'll be relying on you for a lot, as I've decided to take a big promotion at work.
Tyler, Nicholas, and Frankie all smiled widely.
I knew you were going to take it!
Linnet moved over to Elvinia, who was seated at the dining room table. A small frown was on her face, and she just looked at the surface of the table. Linnet wrapped an arm around Elvinia's shoulder, and Elvinia's arm draped around her waist, pulling her a little closer.
I'm sorry.
Well, what do you mean?
It's okay. You don't have to feel bad about it. I knew she was more than a best friend. I'm sorry things turned out that way. I'm here for you, okay?
You really are the best friend a girl could ever have.
Not possible, because that title goes to you.
So, Alfreda, what are you all going to do now? I mean, your citadel's gone.
Linnet and Elvinia glanced over to where Alfreda, Nixie, and Duinya were seated. All eyes were on the Citadel commander.
Well, unfortunately, resources are limited. And we would need to gather vast amounts of Anam to even create a workable communication tower that would reach Nymphia. I suppose for now, we're going to have to try and rebuild. I hope that we can still coexist peacefully.
So long as you use safe techniques like you have been, then I'm sure we'll be fine with you setting up some kind of embassy here.
An embassy? Well, since there are so many of us here, that might not be a bad idea. It would take a lot of work to set up an embassy.
Maybe so. But you have an awesome team. You have an R&D division, your own tenacity, a group of expert Anam refiners,
And the best damned executive assistant ever. Don't forget that.
For a brief moment, Alfreda looked around the room, to each of the people, both human and Nymphian.
You really have that much faith in me?
Of course we do. So if you're going to be the head of the embassy, you're essentially the Nymphian ambassador.
Ambassador Alfreda. I think it has a nice ring to it. And once you get communication and travel established between here and Nymphia again, we can establish a recreation and vacation industry for Nymphians who want to come here on holiday.
That sounds like an interesting future venture. Elvinia, would you please be my director of arcane science development?
Oh, of course. Olilee, Karina, you two will be my arcanists, right?
Really? Do you mean it? Of course she does! You earned it, sweetie. And the answer is yes, Elvinia!
Alfreda, you have your arcane science development division.
Alfreda turned her attention to Linnet.
I have 3 special tasks for you.
Sure! What would you like for me to do?
For task 1, please go inform the others outside what our plans are, and let them know I would love their help with building a new Anam energy reactor to power our homes and the embassy. For task 2, I would love your help in securing a property somewhere that will serve as our future embassy.
Yes, ma'am! And what about task 3?
I want you to be the chief designer for the gardens around the embassy, as well as any other beautification projects we institute. In addition to your role as executive assistant, I name you the Embassy Executive Horticulturist.
Do you really mean it?
Yes, I really do. I'm going to count on you to make our new home and embassy beautiful.
I promise I won't let you down. I'm going to give you the most beautiful gardens you've ever seen.
And true to Linnet's word, she did just that.